Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host. I'll start off right off the bat. If you notice, we've got a mask on today, and we're covered up. We recognize the fact we've got a major issue in our country, big time. And so consequently, that comes right up to the states. So I just want to make it a point to the fact of the matter is that too often we've got this the politics have gotten in this whole issue about whether one should take the shot, wear the mask aspect of it. Well, think about it when we've got an education system that basically says, okay, fine, you go to school to develop the expertise aspect of it, and these are the people that basically implement that expertise. And here we are challenging that whole process. It doesn't make any sense, folks. The fact of the matter is we do have a process, if you will. These folks are educated. It's called science and this, that, and the other. They pick up that skill aspect of it, and when they put stuff on the table, the expectation is that it's supposed to work. So realistically, let's take the politics out of this thing. People are dying. If in fact you look at the news, and most people today don't look at the news. Young people don't look at the news. They don't read the newspaper aspect of it, the whole 9 yards. But the fact of the matter is, folks are dying, but no one basically goes down to the hospital and check out the number of people that are in those coffins and whatever, or this, that, and the other, because we're just kind of like, hey, if I don't have it, it's somebody else's problem. Well, look, we got a serious problem right now, okay? So let's get on board on this whole deal aspect of it, and let's do what we have to do, if you will, to get ourselves erected, okay? And then share the fact that that we need to wear these masks, if you will, and that's what we need to do from a scientific standpoint, and take the shot aspect of it. So I just wanted to make sure I started off with that. We have it right here. I mean, my guest and I are both in a situation we don't have to wear it, but I want to make sure that you saw us with the mask. And my guest today is a man named Fred Stewart. You got Fred. Fred's been on here before, and there he is. And you can take the share on him. He's got his mask on too. And we've got our separation over here on the table aspect of it. He's taking his shots. We're in an immune kind of a situation here at the studio. It's a very clean environment aspect of it. So in all due respect, we can take it down below.
Oh, good.
And so we're clean. We're solid as a rock. But ordinarily, when we leave this particular room, we will be wearing our masks, if you will. And I would suggest you do basically the same deal. But anyway, I thought maybe this would be a timely thing now we're going to do this show today. We're just going to basically have a good, candid discussion. We're going to be talking about what's happening within our city, the city of roses, if you will. It seems as though, for some strange reason, we don't have any answers to a lot of the solutions that are happening around here. And we're just going to have a candid discussion. And I thought I'd do Fred because he's a realtor. So consequently, his business, if you will, is that he's out there on the streets. He's out there very much involved. It just so happened he's got this other little passion. He's run for office before, and he's been involved in politics too. But and I want to make a point about that piece. And I'm opening up that with reference to Fred. Like myself, I'm in business. I've been in business for quite some time. He's been in business aspect of it. But as you go through life and trying to make a living, and at the same time dealing with this other issue that you and I both possess in politics and a passion for politics, there's no such thing as a benefiting a total 100% benefit to our business kind of relationship trying to put food on the table. That's automatically. There's a sacrifice that one has to make automatically.
Well, that's why a lot of people who should be running don't run.
Yeah.
I mean, politics is not good for business in general. Mm-hmm. It's just the way we approach it these days. But it is a sacrifice. But freedom's not free.
But the passion that you have, and I'm the same boat aspect of it, because we've been in this for a number of years aspect of it. Mm-hmm. We now understand what it is, but we had the fortitude and the enthusiasm to still maintain that business to put food on the table.
Oh yeah, you have to work harder and stuff like that. But we got a lot of good people out there in Portland that should be considering running for office. that won't. I mean, I'm not putting them down or nothing like that. There's a lot of them because they're putting their business first, even though there's an argument the city that they live in needs them right now, because right now a lot of the people who are in office and a lot of people who are running, this is just not their skill set right now.
Well, let's just take the city of Portland as we go through this discussion, Fred, and I think we're right on aspect of it, and taking just what you just got through sharing. What's the nature? Where are we now with the city? With the city right now, we got a thing called a recall that's sitting on the table. We got that situation up there. Mm-hmm. It's been identified as a very progressive kind of a group, if you will. Young folks, the futures for that matter. But the recall, it doesn't look too good right now.
Yeah, I don't particularly agree with the recall. I mean, I feel people have the right to do it, but I don't see where a recall is going to is going to change things. One of the biggest problems we got right now in Portland when it comes to leadership is we got a significant amount of the population of Portland that have absolutely no trust of current leadership. And we should be focusing more on that. Mm-hmm. And this recall, if anything, is a distraction to that. Mm-hmm. It's a distraction to us, moving forward in this town. I can understand why people are frustrated, especially young people.
Do you think that the print media, and I'm sure there's the tube aspect of it also too, the social media aspect of it, because they're part of that whole social media aspect of it. Are they really doing their job? When I threw out the print media, I'm talking about those individuals who can afford it. The Oregonian, the Willamette Week, and the Tribune. Well, basically, they're out there on the street. One can just go over there and just pick it up. It's for free aspect of it. Well, are they doing enough, if you will, to educate the public about the situation that we're in?
I don't read local media. I don't trust any of them. That's where a lot of our problems has germinated. Mm-hmm. It's from these individuals, and it's intentional. They're intentionally inflicting harm on this city, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Sounds really dramatic, but I mean, just look at how much they're failing in this area. They're not really addressing the issues that are facing the people of Portland right now in a broad enough manner for us as a community to come together on solutions. And they are helping foster distrust for our political leadership as a leverage for their power or influence, in our political process. Mm-hmm. So, I've got a very, very low opinion. And I'm a little different than everybody. I've told you this before. After 2016, I spent over 2 years studying these people. Because these people, they communicate with most of the people that I love on this planet. My mom, people I went to school with, people I've done business with. I got to thinking when I was running for office in 2016, really don't know these people or their families and what kind of human beings they are. I'm going to tell you, it's not good. It's amazing. It's just amazing. And Portland is suffering from it. Right now we need some editors and we need some publishers that really want to work with the city, not be a leader of the city, but work with the people of Portland, get the news out, get some critical thinking out, and highlight some things that some of the people in Portland have a passion for Portland are saying and trying to point out. But that's just not going to happen.
Tell me something. Yeah, and we've both been in the same. You've run for office before. I've run for office before. And I think back about the point that you were making about that responsibility from a media standpoint. Now to date, and see whether or not you feel kind of somewhat similar. To date, as I look at it, and I look at all of those so-called interviews I was having with the media, if you will, the Oregonian, the Willamette Week, the Tribune, and aspect of it, and I started thinking about when I went before these folks to interview, and looked at the folks that were interviewing, they had no background.
I know. I mean, when I ran for city council in 2016. And this has been that way every time I've run for office. Mm-hmm. I'm a black guy, and they didn't ask any questions about any issues that are important to black people or people who are interested in advancing civil rights. Not one time. Mm-hmm. And even the Willamette Week. I had one of the main reporters in Willamette Week when we were talking about black on black violence. He said, "What's wrong with it? He literally said, "What's wrong with it? Black people killing themselves all over the country. So what? They're killing black people here." And I said, "Well, the black people that are killing people here, they're here. We can't do nothing about black people elsewhere.
Right.
Can we talk about issues about black people killing black people here in Portland?"
Right.
You know what his answer to that was? No. No.
Yeah, give you another point. When you ran that first time around
in 2008,
and being that you're in real estate and this, that, and the other, and you're out there with the people aspect of it.
Yeah.
Were you invited to go before the editorial board?
No, I've never. To be honest, all the times I've ever run, I've never been invited to the editorial board.
Ditto here, by the way. Ditto for
and I've never been invited to the editorial board. I mean, when I ran last time, they knew that Chloe Daly was a former skinhead, and they invited her to the editorial board. Right. So they went ahead and sat down with a skinhead. Yeah, right. This is why I love these. Don't we love white people like this? Gee, I'm not racist, but I think the skinhead is more interesting than the black fellow. And we're going to talk about racism. They talked about racial equality with a person that spent 7 or 8 years being a skinhead. You just got to love white people that way, because if you hate them, it takes too much energy.
Now, I'm going to share with you why. I'm going to share with you why they do that. You know why they do that?
Because they're racist white folks.
I've got another point I'm going to make to you. Mm-hmm. They've already picked the person that they want.
Yeah, but only a racist white person would do that.
That's right.
I mean, I don't care how nice you are.
Okay, good. No
I don't care how many black people you've had sex with. When you do stuff like that, you are just like flat out racist.
Look at and bringing it up right to date.
Yeah.
Bringing it up right to date. The reason we got this issue about who is Ted Wheeler, our present mayor aspect of, always complaining. They're constantly complaining today, complaining. But who endorsed the guy to begin with? Well, all the three papers endorsed him day one. And think about this. Day one, when he first ran for office, and I've made that statement. We talked about that before. I interviewed this guy when he ran for the county chair aspect of it. I interviewed this guy. And, normally what I normally try to do is kind of make sure that the person doesn't look too stupid if they're coming in for the first time around. And I basically just had a chat with him before we got on the show. Yeah. And said, well, what do you know about the job? He doesn't know anything. I said, well, look, let's go this way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so and at the end of the day, he wins.
Well, yeah, I remember that.
You remember that?
I mean, look, I don't.
Remember when the women fight?
I don't vote. 9 times out of 10, if somebody's been endorsed by the Oregonian or Women Week, I'm not going to vote for them. But what I'm getting to is this: these papers, they endorse these guys, these people, and then they turn around and tear them apart. What Ted and the other city commissioners need right now is for the newspapers to talk about things in a broad enough spectrum that a politician can't talk about right now. Right. And they're not doing that. Mm-hmm. They're spending their time attacking the decisions they make. Being on Portland City Council and being mayor in Oregon has always been considered the toughest political job in the state. Mayor Williams said that over 100 years ago. The guy had been Attorney General of the United States. And when they asked Mayor Williams to compare, and this is before the new, I will admit.
Now this is Oregon.
This is Oregon. This is before Portland had the new current city commissioner, which is even more complicated than what they had before.
Right.
But they asked Mayor Williams, what's it like comparing being Mayor of Portland or Attorney General of the United States? And he said, Mayor of Portland is much tougher. Much tougher.
He made that statement.
He flat out said it. And we've had, I've heard that, Neil Goldschmidt said the same thing. And other people who had, other positions.
Yeah, he was transportation,
it's not easy. So, and all the media has been doing is making it harder.
Yeah.
That's all they've been doing is making it harder. And by the way, advertising to every rapist and gang member and murderer. By the way, we don't have many cops, so, take advantage of Portland as much as you can. Because a lot of these guys don't even live in Portland. That's another thing, too. I don't know if I trust a journalist anymore that doesn't live in Portland.
Yeah.
We got all these journalists that write for our newspapers, but their addresses are not here. So there's no big deal I'm going to let the gang members know that there's no cops. I'm going to let the rapists know, the peeping toms know, there's no cops.
That's right.
I mean, they're just very irresponsible. We need that to change. We need, our media to be more, lack of a better word, more responsible and more thoughtful. There's a lot of information that's not being shared. There's a lot of thinking that's not being shared. And we don't need them to continuously drum in to the market insecurity in current leadership. I don't agree with everything our city council does. We never will. You know what I mean? But the point is, to just harp on a couple of things and then just ride that donkey. You know what I mean? And like I tell everybody, when people ask me all the time, what do I feel about the current city council? Well, I feel better about this one than the last one. We don't have a white supremacist on it, at least, an official one. But I mean, they're dealing with probably the most complicated set of problems Portland has faced since at least World War II. Believe it or not, some of these problems that we got today, the city of Portland was dealing with in the late 30s and the early 40s, World War II. And, this is maybe a little bit more sophisticated because the values are so high, the costs are so high. It's much harder to overcome these things.
Let's divert for a moment.
The price tickets on these things are just insane.
Let's divert for a moment in regards to something current. Right now, I just learned on the street that with the so-called the recall aspect of it, and then Sarah basically just ran against Sarah Anyard, just ran against him, and then naturally Oregonian and the rest of them basically endorsed Wheeler right off the bat, and then there's several other people that ran too at the same time, right? But my point is that they're saying, well, gee whiz, I don't want to sign this document because this is her thing, this is Sarah's thing. Look, Sarah has nothing to do with the recall. Check this out.
Yeah, I don't know if she does or not.
I know that.
Okay.
In fact, I've even spoken to her.
Okay.
She's happy. She say, Bruce, I got food on the table. I'm taking care of my family, and I'm very, very busy with transportation issues.
That's what she should be doing.
I'm just saying that's what she's doing, and she just happened to have hired a friend of ours, someone we've known, a grandson, who's from transportation. And very much involved, and in fact, we're going to do a show about another couple of weeks or so from now, about a week or maybe so, and talk about transportation and all that other good stuff.
Well, good.
And I thought that was good, and again, so she's happy. So in all due respect, you're hearing it right here now. Sarah is not going to be running. So in all honesty,
good.
Yeah, I think that's a good deal aspect of it. But for futures, as far as I'm concerned, because our systems say that regardless. If you file to run for office, you file to run for office. Don't take the easy way out and say, well, I don't like it because, no, bullshit. I hate to put it that way. If you want to run. And if you got something to contribute,
we do need a lot more people running. I mean, that would help cure the solution.
But that's where the
part
media
of the solution.
That's where the media comes in.
Well,
if the media came up right now today and said, okay, fine, we need folks to run, and then start vetting those folks out now.
But these guys aren't going to do that. I mean, these guys are too old and too racist and too set. You just don't have hope for them. I mean, gee whiz, when you're dealing with people like that, no. What people got to do, I mean, we got social media, we got friends and family.
Right.
This is a community thing. Right. We just got to do it. Don't waste any of this time on waiting for racist white people to change their mind. It just ain't. It's just not going to happen. These guys ain't going to do that. But we've got enough influence of social media that I think enough people could develop a good campaign without going to the Oregonian Willamette Week or any of these guys. I mean, it would be great if these guys were more community minded. That would be in a perfect world. But it ain't going to happen. But what I'm trying to say is I think people shouldn't be pandering and hoping that these guys are going to change. I see people all the time in meetings and on Facebook and articles, blog posts and stuff like that, contributions. You could tell some people have got a lot to contribute to the discussion of what we need to do in this city.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's so expensive to run for office. Too many people are focused on pandering to these, racist and just obsolete people that are running our media. I mean, we got to start being the change.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm talking about?
I agree.
If we want change, we got to be the change and stop begging for people who for years have been in charge of everything to change. You understand? If they won't listen. You understand? And I'm just hoping that, even though I'm not that supportive of this recall, I'm hoping from here on out we're going to start seeing some new faces, some bold people, some people who've got some experience, more business experience, but really experience in life in general. People who've got some good grounding in leadership.
Can it be
to run
done with
for
the
office.
application process? Look at the application process.
It's really simple. It's simpler than people think. It's really simple to run.
But you've signed up.
Yeah, it's really simple.
But it doesn't say a darn thing about from the standpoint of your resume or your background, anything of that nature.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who've got have a better resume.
But that should be on
than
the
half the people have actually been on city council.
But that should be on the application process.
Well, true.
That's all I'm saying.
No.
That's all I'm making. I'm making that point.
True. Well,
and as far as the media, now, I'll give you an example. I went to a gathering yesterday in Southeast Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Roy Harris, we know Roy, and he's very much involved in the community and whatever. And he was doing this piece about the murder thing, and we were trying to deal with the whole issue of it's nothing but black folks that are shooting black folks.
Well, most of the murders.
No, but I'm just saying. But
are
still,
black folks.
But I'm still saying that's the way that he had that piece.
Yeah.
So there I am. I'm sitting in my garb. This is what I've got right here now, my battle uniform aspect of it, and I noticed that in fact it was Channel 2 that was there, and they were there, and there was a young lady. It looked like only the young ladies come out at night and do the piece. I don't see any male reporters, if you will. But anyway, I walked up to her, and I gave her my card. I'd run for mayor before. I use that because why not? My phone number's on it. And I said, hey, by the way, my name is, I'm Bruce Broussard, and if you want a couple comments about what they're dealing with, right, I'd be more glad to accommodate you. And I just went back to my seat or whatever. Never once came back to me.
No, a white reporter in this market, especially a TV reporter, unless she's been instructed by her news manager, or what do you want to call it, editor, they don't network. Local journalists don't try to figure out who are the influences. I mean, they look at the standard people. People. I won't mention their names because I'm not going to build into their influence. But people who have been set up, and this is normal part of racism. We've had a bunch of white people appoint certain black people to be the official voice of black people, right? And so that's where a white woman like her is going to go. She's a very professional journalist under today's standard. A black guy with your background? No way. No way. And and she's going to probably say she's not racist and say, hey, when I was in college, I used to date black guys. Yeah. You probably did. But that doesn't mean when you get around an old black guy who's been around that you're going to respect him because you're not planning on dating him. You know what I'm talking about? And even that guy you dated, you're not dating him now.
But you know the other interesting point about that whole gathering? I went and I just sat down. And just sat on it by Teresa. Teresa and Dawn was there also too. And a young white guy, probably Afghanistan, or was, came over and said, "Sir, thank you very much for serving." You understand what I'm saying? Now he was just in regular uniform. He wasn't in uniform.
But that reporter didn't say that.
That reporter didn't say. I had my garb on.
No,
I stuck my hat out there. I even said senior citizen.
A white reporter. A white reporter. Now look, every time I ran for office, I never had one reporter thank me for my service.
I heard that.
Okay, hold it. I never had one union person I met. Never, not one white, even some of the ones that have been in the service. But I ran into people all the time outside of that, that thank me for my service. And by the way, you know what I did 37 years ago today?
What's that?
37 years ago today, I was on my way to MCRD San Diego.
Look at you.
37 years ago today, I was going to boot camp.
Look at you.
Spending it with you, Bruce.
That's right.
37 years ago today, I got on my journey to get this thing. Yeah. But no, a white journalist at any of our major newspapers, Bruce, this is one of the reasons why I don't like how white people in journalism treat you and other black people in Portland that have not been officially appointed by them. You get my meaning? Oh, yeah. You're a historical figure. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, I can guarantee you, Bruce, some of the things that I got planned for our city, you're not going to be forgotten. And neither are some of these racist people that are running around here. I'm going to make sure their grandchildren and great-grandchildren know what they did to Portland. But I'm going to make sure your grandchildren and great-grandchildren know what you've done for Portland.
But I'm making a point. You basically ditto to you, too, because you've done the same thing. You know, like I said this at the beginning of the show aspect of it. You don't have to do this. You don't have to get in politics. Well, no, understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, you are truly in the real estate business. I mean,
and I love real estate.
Right, but you've got the knowledge in real estate. And you've got so much knowledge in real estate.
I love real estate. I love Portland.
People don't take advantage. A lot of folks have, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of folks. I've sold more real estate than any black person in Oregon history. Actually, as of this month, which is fascinating,
right?
I've been in real estate longer than any black person in Oregon history.
Really?
Nobody black has ever been in real estate as long as me, nor have they sold in general as much. I think Melvin Broadus might be close, maybe even have passed me, but he and I kind of think I'm still ahead. But the point is, I even was in real estate before him.
Yeah.
And I've been in real estate longer than Herman Plummer, who was the guy that I passed. So you knew who my grandfather. I met him when I was a kid. And I've been in real estate longer than Mr. Plummer was.
I would have been in real estate. I worked with Herman, in the whole issue, the housing aspect of it. But he just didn't reach out far enough just to catch this young stud out of boot camp, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just pull me in and just bang, bang, bang. That didn't happen. And in fact, even when he died, I got in touch with him.
He died July of 1988.
Yeah, and when he died, and he passed on, I got together with Berna Plummer, because Berna was there, very active. And I tried to say, hey, Berna, why don't we just kind of get together? And I tried to get in with the family. And I was gonna maintain Plummer Realty.
Yeah.
In fact, I mentioned your name in the piece. I said, well, gee, maybe we can go out and get Fred, and kind of maybe use it, and so we wouldn't do it, because he had already pretty well laid a whole bunch of stuff out there. But it didn't happen.
It's too complicated. It was too complicated.
It didn't happen. So I just went on and did.
When I knew so little, I mean, geez, when I think 1980, 33 years ago, I was 23 years old. I was a baby.
We passed.
And I knew so little. And I mean, when I was 24, at one point, Inner Northeast Portland had 135 listings in the market at one time. At one time. I was just a baby doing that. I mean, I wasn't ready. I've had a great career. But no, one thing we should talk about, Bruce, is about the next 12 months, because this town's going to go through a lot over the next 12 months. Interest rates are, even if the Fed raises the overnight interest rate, which is looking doubtful for the next 6 months, possibly.
Folks. This is
we're going to see some interest rates that possibly are going to be down in the ones.
1%?
It may. I'm not 100% sold it can get that low, but certainly under 2%.
What does that mean to
well, you're going to see even more people. This is what I tell people who are trying to figure out whether they should buy right now. We have never in U.S. history had access to so much credit to so many Americans at one time.
Even at that 2% right now.
Right now, I think the average interest rate right now is about 7.5 to 7 3/4, somewhere in that area. Not 7. I'm sorry, 2.5 to 2 3/4, and it dips sometimes. Sometimes over the last month it's dipped down to 2.25%. My client, they got 2%. They put down a lot of money and they had insanely good credit. But the point is, they actually got a 30-year fixed at 2%.
Okay.
And when I got in the business 33 years ago, the interest rates were like 13.6, 75 or something like that.
Wow.
13.5, something like that. So so a huge change over the last 30 years.
Let's talk about just the average bottom line.
But banks are looking at bringing in new products. because they got to get more people to borrow. The problem right now is, even with these low interest rates, the amount of borrowing isn't as broad as people think, even though people are buying houses. So you're going to see banks bring in some more products. There's a lot of talk about the 30-year and 50-year mortgage coming.
Really?
They were working on that before the crash.
What about an age factor aspect there? You mean, Jim?
Well, by federal law, your age can't be used as a factor for getting a loan. Only economics.
So if a person 60, 65 years old,
a person 100 can get a mortgage if they have the economics to qualify for it. You bet.
Really?
You bet. No, federal government, has a prohibition against age discrimination. So a person that's older or younger, as long as you're over 18, shouldn't be concerned about their age at all, because it's not a factor at all.
Let's throw this as an example. Now, the other thing is that as far as down payment and this, that, and the other. Let's say, for instance, just a person is 65 years old, and they're looking at what can they buy. Let's say we use the word. What about $500,000?
Well, it's never been cheaper to borrow $500,000 in the history of this country. But $500,000 loan.
What would the payment be about?
Well, it depends on the taxes and insurance. But look, you're looking at, if you got, and I'm going a little higher than what the interest rate says right now. Interest rates are below 3% on average right now. They're below. But let's say they were 3%. I mean, that means you're paying what for $500,000, $15,000 a year in interest plus principal and stuff. So you're probably looking at what taxes and insurance. A $500,000 loan, you're probably looking at something like $2,700 or something like that.
$2,700 a month.
$2,700 a month.
Oh, let's get it down to a little rent, like about $1,500 or something like a month or something.
To $1,500, I mean, you're probably down. You're certainly under. Probably going to be close to $350 or something like that.
$350. Can you buy anything for that?
Not in good condition. Not in good condition. But you can do things like buy duplexes and fourplexes, threeplexes and stuff. And you may not be able to buy a $350 home in most of Portland.
Right.
Maybe you have to go out to Gresham or Troutdale or other parts. There are $350,000 houses out there. They sell quick. So if you find one you like one, you better move. But the way the market's moving.
Right.
You can move. I mean, I was down in Cottage Grove. I was amazed how awesome what you can get for $350,000.
Really?
$350,000 home in Cottage Grove and parts of Eugene.
Yes.
Pretty darn nice.
Really?
There are places in Oregon. I'm not saying you should move to Cottage Grove. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it depends. You got to look at your employment. A lot of people are working from home now.
Right.
They don't have to necessarily live in Portland to make money out of Portland. You get my meaning? I'm telling people, I said, why not move to a community that you can afford a nice home in with the income that you have. And $350, and a lot of places outside of Multnomah County, the property taxes are going to be lower. So that's why it's hard to when you say
a family of two or something like that for $1,500 a month. Hey, you got a home.
Yeah. Maybe they may be able to buy something for $400,000 in some counties.
Okay, cool.
And get away with $1,500 to $1,800 a month.
What about down payment, something like that?
Well, down payment, if you go FHA, it's you 3.5%. And there's some first-time home buyer programs, which you don't have to be a first-time home buyer to qualify for. But there's some first-time home buyer programs that sometimes drop down to about 2%. But then you got this massive amount of people out there who have VA qualifications.
Yeah, what about vets?
Vets have no down payment whatsoever.
No down payment.
It's a 100% finance loan.
100%.
And then you get into the USDA loans, which are a lot of communities outside of urban Portland. A lot of suburbs and rural parts of Oregon have USDA loans. That's a 100% loan too.
That's not vets, right? That's not a vet.
You don't have to be a vet. You don't have to be a vet. It's 100% down loans. That's what I tell people when we start talking about housing and whether they're going to buy a house.
Right.
They need to sit down with a loan officer who's got some good experience, 5 years or longer, in my opinion. A loan officer that's a mortgage broker, preferably, but even a banker. But they sit down with them and see what their options are.
Okay.
Because right now, we have never in the United States history had this many people eligible to buy a home.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay.
And it's only going to get worse. That's one of the reasons why real estate values are going to go up. That's why I laugh at people when they say, well, there's a bubble. I said, no, there's not a bubble because our demand is higher than our supply.
Okay.
And we're not going to have a bubble. Now, we hope. I mean, trust me, I wish we would go through another dip. But we are going to go through another dip in values. But it's not going to be like it was in 2008.
Okay.
It's not going to be, like that. But we're going to have dips, but those dips aren't going to be deep enough to really make a difference if you're not getting on that train today.
Okay.
Especially if my suspicions is right, and we're going to see this low interest rate environment not just last longer.
Okay.
But we're going to see it drop a little bit more.
Okay. Okay.
We're going to see it drop a little bit more. And like I said, there is beginning to have talk of 1% mortgages by this time next year.
Right.
I'm not sold on that yet.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
it's not that it couldn't happen.
Okay.
I can see the path that people are pointing out where it could happen.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to get that low.
Okay.
I mean, if it got at 1.75,
okay.
you know what I mean? Or just stayed at 2.
I got you.
You know what I mean? If it just stayed at 2, we're still in a great position.
Well, the reason why we're spending so much time on taking advantage of you from the standpoint of all your knowledge in that real estate business thing. That's some heavy stuff. Because now people who are looking, and hopefully looking at the show here, thinking about, I'm going to be able to move back in Northeast Portland. And
people should be thinking about that like that. And especially black people. I tell black people, buy where you can afford.
That's right.
Open up the map.
There you go.
Buy where you can afford. Buy where you want to live. And buy anywhere in Oregon. You're going to be fine.
Yes.
This Northeast Portland thing, I wish the old people could be brought back for a little while. People keep forgetting. Black people were forced to move to Northeast Portland, and they weren't even allowed to move to Northeast Portland until 1950.
Yes.
You ever said, it wasn't even until 1950. I mean, not counting the black community prior to 1950. They tore down to put the Memorial Coliseum.
Right.
That's why I get all these black folks who moved here to go to college in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
Oh my God, I hate what they've done to our Northeast Portland. The native people.
Right.
Are you kidding me? 5 years before your butt came to Portland, black people weren't there. You know what I mean? Oh man, they just get something there.
Yeah.
And it gets in the way of young black people.
Yeah.
The black people today should not be listening to that BS. They should be thinking about the dreams of the black people who were forced to live in Northeast Portland. Those people wanted to buy everywhere.
Yeah.
They wanted to buy. They're no different than white people.
Yeah.
They want to buy close to where they live. They want to be in good schools. They want to be in good communities. You know what I mean? That's what they be thinking. Don't be thinking about this damn crap of, I got to get back to my homeland, Northeast Portland. Oh my God!
Yep.
When you hear an old black person talk like that, didn't grow up here,
Yep.
or they're kissing the behind of someone who didn't grow up here. They're not thinking about the history.
Yep.
The history was horrible. How they forced black people to live in inner Northeast Portland.
And 3 or 4 streets at that.
A little bit more than that, but it was horrible what they did.
Yeah. But they're still playing the politics of it.
Yeah.
They had the Vanport Day, the Vanport Week, and this, that, and the other. And, and like you said, it's not progressive at all.
No, it's not progressive. It's progressive? Young people today,
Right.
ignoring that BS and investing in themselves and their families and buying wherever they choose.
And afford.
And afford.
Yeah.
Make sure you can afford it.
Yeah,
Never buy
don't
two
be
things
on-
I tell all my clients. Never buy a home you can't afford, and never buy a home you don't want to live in.
There you go.
I don't care how good the deal is.
That's right.
So, and that's what they should be thinking. And open up the map of Oregon. We are so lucky in this state. We are one of the best. I mean, we've only got about 80,000 black people in the state, but still, we've got one of the most integrated states. We have one of the lowest issues of black people moving into any community in this state.
Right.
Love it.
Right.
Love it. Now we still have issues. We still have some racist white people
Right.
that we need to need to
yeah.
die and go away.
Yeah.
But we really, compared to a lot of states, and Washington is not far behind us, we really don't have that many issues with black people living where they want to live.
Right.
We're so lucky about that.
Right.
And hopefully over the next 10, 20 years, a lot of these racist white people that get in the way of us progressing, hopefully there'll be ashes, but, and get out of our way of the direction that we need to go in this community. But I'm telling people, keep your hope.
Okay.
Invest.
Okay.
Don't worry. Don't be afraid. Go and invest. You want to live in Salem? Go live in Salem. You want to live on the coast? Go live on the coast. You want to live in Hood River?
One other point I would
go
share,
there.
One other point, especially to vets, African American, black veterans aspect of it, I would suggest once you found yourself a spot that you want to get into, whatever, and you see a for sale sign or whatever, make sure you got your cover on. Knock on the door. I guarantee you, in all due respect, you put that cover on, and if there's a vet living there, or if not a vet, they'll welcome you aboard. I'll be right up front with you. There's a certain mat.
It could help, but Bruce.
But I understand.
Money talks. No, you're right. It will help a little bit, but money talks. Money talks.
But zero down, though. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean that's
no. And this message you out to all vets. I mean, black.
See, vets.
You should make sure if you got a black friend that's a vet, bring it up with them, because black people historically are the last to hear good information. Yeah. But really, no matter what your background is,
disabled vets,
this information I'm sharing, it goes to all of you.
Okay.
You definitely should be looking at buying a home now, if you can. And if you're not prepared now, start putting yourself in a position to be able to buy one during this extremely low interest rate environment.
That's right.
Because rents are going to continue to go up, because unfortunately the people that we have voted for in our markets don't they're not builders. They don't believe in building more housing, and we need more housing. We need more housing more than ever right now. I don't say more than ever, but we're in a unique position that we're in the same situation we were in 1940. And what the city did back then was hurry up and say, we got to build more housing. That's where Vanport came in. I forgot the name of that community over in Northwest Portland. They built Guilds Lake or whatever, Giles Lake, and then also they started building a bunch more housing in what we call Lentz in Southeast Portland, and they started building a bunch more housing in what we call today St. John's. The city, when we ran into in the late 30s, early 40s into a housing crunch, they made rent control illegal, because rent control got into the way of financing new housing, new construction. So that's one of the reasons why they made it illegal. And then they just really pushed the development of more housing. So by the time the war was over with, housing values had actually dropped. And rents stagnated for like 15, 20 years. Because we had so much housing, which is good. That's what I think the government should be doing. Provides jobs, builds housing, stabilizes the market, stabilizes cost, but still, investors still are able to make a return.
Right.
So everybody wins.
Well, why did the city make just recently? They just made this move from the standpoint that it's not going to be a 50 by 100 lot thing anymore. I mean, you can.
That's actually.
Is that a good thing?
Well, that could be a good thing with the proper leadership. I mean, allowing more development of housing per lot, because we're like an island. We got this urban growth boundary. Allowing people to put more housing on existing lots, you can add on more.
Split it up.
You can split it up. That's good. Where the leadership comes in is how to go about doing it.
Spend a little bit more defining this new ruling that's coming up.
Well, I mean, it would take a whole show. But basically, if you got a 5,000 square foot lot that's zoned R5, you can, in some cases, and you should sit down with, the city and a professional about this. In some cases, you can put it up to 6 units on it. And where that comes in is, I don't think everybody's going to be putting 6 units on a 5,000 square foot lot, but you can put an ADU, an auxiliary dwelling unit, in your backyard, or turn your garage into an auxiliary unit. You can put an ADU in your basement, basically turning your single family into a threeplex. And where this is great is, think about doing something where you're turning your property into a true family residence, but everybody still has their own privacy. Mom and dad build a nice mother-in-law's apartment in the backyard, turn the garage into an ADU or the basement. There's a lot of opportunities here for people to manipulate their real estate for the greatest advantage of their family and their long-term economic well-being. Okay. And it's going to allow when the city, decides to stop making the permit process so arduous and lower the fees a little bit, because these fees are sick. But what I'm getting to is when the city eventually, I'm hoping that they'll eventually get around to doing this, understand the importance of developing new housing, especially in a market like Portland. A lot of people don't understand that the reason why Portland's outlook for growing for indefinite amount of time is we're the cheapest big city on the West Coast.
That's right.
If you think we're expensive for our housing down here, get in your car and just drive up to Tacoma. Then go to Seattle. And then if you really want your jaw to drop, look at what the nice Canadians are paying up in British Columbia. I mean, it's hilarious. As high as our real estate is, it's not the highest for any of the major cities along the West Coast. We're a great economic opportunity for employed people. So we're going to continue to grow. And that's going to push people who have lower means out unless we address the housing shortage problem. We need more housing. And we need all types. Right. We need single houses with 3 and 4 bedrooms. We need studios. We need ADUs. We need more housing. And the more housing that we develop, the more stable the rental market will be. You won't need rent stabilization because the market's going to force it, just like it did in 1940. It's amazing. We went through a war. World War II. You can look up the research yourself at the library or go down to the State Archives building. It's amazing what this city did to address a housing shortage. And they were so good at it. I mean, so aggressive, so good, and it benefited the people of Portland for 25, 30 years later.
Well, look, on that note on the real estate bit, in all due respect, hopefully you will share this with the social media.
No, I always do. I always do.
Maybe they might invite you.
Nah, them white people ain't gonna.
Come on. Come on,
Bruce. I'm telling you, I know these people. I've gone through their lives.
What about Willamette Week or something?
No. David Duke brags about Willamette Week. He swears the owners of Willamette Week wish they were him. He has said that so many times. David Duke, the most well-known racist white man in America. Oh, he's bragged about Willamette Week, about how those guys. He goes, if they weren't Jewish, they would be hanging out with me. He's proud of them. He likes them. Oh my God, it's hilarious. I love Portland. Portland, we do our racism in weird ways. You know what I mean? Just weird ways. But and like I said, no.
Of the three, what would you give a chance?
Possibly the Tribune, possibly, but they. Nah, I mean, look, if you look at their staff and their ownership structure, and when I say staff, all through it, they don't hire non-white people.
No,
they don't at all.
I've tried to help them.
Well, hold it. And in this day and time, 2021, when white people who've been under this gun, I mean, they report on my friends who've been shot with rubber bullets and gassed, trying to get, social justice. You understand? And they're not participating because they have specifically excluded hiring of black people in their organization. So I mean, come on. What I'm saying, I'm only saying this, guys, not to throw them under the bus. I just don't want people like you, Bruce, and others to have any faith that these guys are going to change.
I don't.
Don't even worry about it.
But they need to be
you got your face. No, they don't.
Well, that's what we're saying.
And every time I talk like this, trust me, racist white people like that brings them joy. That brings them joy.
Well, it's not all white people. Now, come on now. It's not all white people.
No, I'm not saying all white people. I'm just talking about the people who run our media.
That's that 10%.
Well, 1%. But the thing is, what people need to do is, not be afraid. They need to, communicate during the social media, support people who want to run for office, encourage their family and friends. We got a lot of good Portlanders out there. I see very active in our streets, see very active in a lot of areas. And I'm always saying to myself, how come they're not running for something? I understand it's a sacrifice. I've been there.
But please, the interviewer has to be knowledgeable. That's in any of these newspapers.
Well,
that's one of the biggest problems.
That's not their game that they're playing.
I will never interview. I will never interview if I run for office.
If I ever ran for office again, there's 3 places you'll never see me willingly.
No, for sure.
Oregonian, Willamette Week, or Mercury. I'm never talking to those guys.
I got you.
Ever. And I'm not planning on running for anything, by the way. But what I'm getting to, we're not going there.
Yeah.
Not going there. But look, guys, we are in the year 2021.
Don't forget the Tribune, but Jim Redden's an awesome dude.
I might talk to the Tribune.
But he's never. But
I won't. I don't want to guarantee it, but they're not on my X list. But what I'm saying is, Bruce, what I think is important is that here is August. I think some Portlanders out there who are thinking they may have something to offer.
Right.
They should not be afraid.
Right.
And they should offer it.
Right.
And I don't want white people out there saying, "Well, I'm not black," or "I'm not a person of color. I shouldn't run." I'm saying go ahead and run. Yes. Just don't be like the people that you want to replace.
Exactly.
Be different. Yeah. And then black people shouldn't be afraid to run.
Right.
Anybody. We need more Hispanics running.
Yep.
We need more people who have a true passion for their community.
Right.
Not a true passion to be in politics.
Right.
But a true passion to be an asset to their community to run.
And skills.
And skills.
Bring the skills to the table.
Well, yeah, but we do. That's where we're lacking. If we got more people running, we would see a better government. We see a better city.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Hopefully you win.
Yeah.
Run to win. Don't run to lose. But just think about the effort and the influence you would have running an effective modern campaign.
Yeah.
We need more people in there. That's our problem. The discussion's not broad enough.
Are you planning on moving at all?
Moving where?
Somewhere out of Portland?
No.
Same here. I'm not.
No, I'm not going anywhere.
I think it's great.
No.
We're gonna help build this thing up. Yeah.
No, not planning on running. My only plan right now is just to sell more, do more real estate, buy more Beamers, chase more women.
Was that right?
Yeah.
Well, these are awesome. That's a heck of a deal.
Yeah. That's pretty much my plan for the future. And if and I'm not joking, if I ever get, what do you call it? Not COVID, but a high PSA test.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The bad one.
Yes.
The man cancer.
Yes.
Terminal.
Yes.
Well, there's some cleanup time. There's some cleanup time. There's some people who should definitely put a tracker on me. I'm terminal. Fred's final gift to the city that he loves. But I just had my last PSA test a couple weeks ago.
I got you.
Came in very low, so I'm doing good.
Okay, good.
I'm doing good. So there's no reason to put a tracker on me.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, if I ever got popped one of them high numbers.
All right. Let's go on and finish with a high note, so to speak.
That is a high note.
I know that is a high note.
Yeah.
That's why I said we're going to finish with a high note.
Yeah.
We've got about 5 more minutes. I would like to have been able to talk a little bit about the whole issue with public safety aspect of it. If I were to give you a couple of minutes just to talk about a solution piece to that piece, how do we solve our problem?
Well, it's
how do we get the community
it's going to be solved because it's going to sound sad. We got a lot of poor black people being pushed out of Portland, and as more poor black people move out of Portland, our violence rate is going to drop. Mm-hmm. We're going to see more white guys killing their wives, unfortunately, more domestic violence calls.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But we don't have the police department that can protect us from the violence that's coming.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't. We don't have enough.
Okay.
And then even on top of that, we don't have the will. Okay. Cops are scared to be cops these days.
Right.
Because there's really there's no clear direction on what we want in law enforcement, other than we don't like what they were doing before.
So how do we do it? How do we do it?
Well, it comes down to the new people. We need new leaders that can help show that path on where to go.
Okay.
People who aren't divisive.
Okay.
It's like, I like Joanne. I understand I don't agree with Joanne on most of the things that she's talking about, but the problem with Joanne is she's been so divisive. Mm-hmm. Nobody in law enforcement wants to work with her at all.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Okay. So, yeah, even if you like her ideas, she can't execute it because nobody wants to work for her. Yeah. We need somebody that has ideas somewhat like, Joanne's.
But she's not the police.
No, but she's on city council.
I know, but what about the other three? What about the other three? Including the mayor.
None of the city commissioners have the faith of the law enforcement community globally.
Yeah.
Because none of them have shown that they've got a clear understanding of what it's not in the background. They don't know what they want to do. They're too flimsy and stuff. They don't show they have a vision of where they want this to really end up. Okay. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. I mean, you and I were in the military, and everybody's in the military and understand this. It's like having a company commander that doesn't know, how to read a map. You know what I mean? We need to go west, but where west? You know what I mean? Well, that's kind of what's going on right now. But, it's just where we're at right now. People didn't like where things are at, and maybe we need to go through what we're going through right now to get to where we need to be. But we do need leadership. We do need...
What about the responsibility of the media? Shouldn't they be at the table at this point in time?
No, the media. The only thing the media should be doing is reporting what's going on factually, which they often don't do, and then 2, helping broaden the discussion. You know what I'm talking about? What's going on, like the old days.
Right.
But they're not going to do that. They don't see any money in doing it. That's why they haven't hired any black. Think about it. We've got Black Lives Matter. We got people marching in the streets. We've got people getting gassed, getting arrested, going through God knows what, because they're trying to make life better for all of us by fighting for rights that you and I have been denied most of our lives, right? None of these white guys have hired any black journalists.
That's right.
You understand what I'm talking
That's
about?
A fact.
No, they go out and send a white person down. Okay, what do you think? I mean, gee whiz. Come on. No, you can't. No,
That's a fact.
These guys aren't going to change. They're taking this to their grave. No, but that doesn't mean that other things can't change, that we as individuals can't effect change on our own. We just have to stop putting faith in people that don't deserve it. And that's why I'm telling you, don't put any faith in these media people.
Isn't that the publisher's job? I mean, you got publishers, and all due respect, that
in the old days, yes. Before
the Tribune, I have talked with
before social media, yes. Yeah. And in a perfect world, it'd be great if these guys were different. But they're not going to be. They're old and white. They're set in their ways. They're not going to change.
Stickle was a pretty good shot.
He was a great guy.
He was former Jarhead.
Yeah, he was a former Jarhead. I mean,
and his son was too. Remember?
Yeah, they were, but they're not around.
They're not around.
No. The guys that are around are different. No, I mean, and don't worry about that. Don't let these guys distract. We as individuals in our communities have an ability.
We got to do this. That's what we're doing
now. Even on social media, Twitter, Facebook, there's things that we can do. And I think people should just work on that. And I just don't want people who I think have a lot to contribute to our community to feel that there's no path for them to do it. I understand it's going to be easy to find that path, but I'm telling you that path is out there. And just get out there. We need more people involved. The biggest problem with this recall right now is people don't know who's going to be mayor after.
Yeah, that's right.
And if they're going to be Ted Wheeler is an extremely smart guy.
Yeah.
Whether you like him or not, I've known the man for almost 20 years. Man's a smart guy. And if he's having a hard time running this, you know what I'm talking about? Maybe he
would... Give me the ball now. And right up front with you, we've been having quite a discussion with exchange of whatever here with Fred and myself and the like, and it's been good. And we're going to continue to do this, Fred. We got to do this more often. And in fact, what we'll do the next shot, we'll talk a little bit more about public safety along that particular line. And again, really appreciate you being here today. It's been very, very exciting, and hopefully the viewing audience, please share this particular discussion that we're having to everybody that you know, because it's all of us. It's going to take, as they say, as they've always said, it takes a village to raise a child. It's going to take a village, if you will, to get our city back. Okay, with that, I'm going to say thank you very much for being with us, and hey, viewers, back to what you believe in. Remember old George Page? Have a good one. Take care.